Welcome, friends. I'm Andy, the storyteller. Today I have another fun adventure to share from Farmer Brown's Dinosaur Farm. So grab your favorite stuffy and find a nice quiet spot. We're about to take a trip to Farmer Brown's Dinosaur Farm. It was a cool autumn day on Farmer Brown's Dinosaur Farm. The sun was shining, the air was crisp and cool, and the velociraptors were bouncing on some old tractor tires. Yes, Farmer Brown had 5 raptors. While raptors might have a bad reputation, the ones that Farmer Brown raised were nice, but not very smart. Most of them chewed on sticks, fought with each other, and got stuck in trees. But there was one raptor who was smart. His name was Ranger. Ranger was in charge of the other raptors. They all looked to him as an older brother. When Ranger said to stop fighting, they stopped. When a raptor got his head stuck in the fence, Ranger pulled him out. He was a helper, and Farmer Brown knew it. The raptors lived in their own pen that was fully enclosed. While they were not very big, they still liked to get out and steal food from the barn. The tallest raptor was about the size of a turkey. While the raptors were playful, they did cause their fair share of mischief. One afternoon, one of the raptors dug a hole under the fence. He wandered out to the dirt road and began to look around. Seeing their brother enjoying his freedom, 3 more raptors crawled through the hole and made their way out to the road. Ranger, the smart raptor, stayed in the pen. He knew where he was supposed to be. He screeched for them to come back. None of his brothers responded. Instead, they started running down the road. After they left his sight, Ranger knew what he had to do. He had to go chase down his brothers. The 4 free raptors had found their way to Farmer Brown's truck, and they were jumping in the back and hiding under a tarp. As Ranger got closer, he was surprised to hear the truck crank up. Farmer Brown was going to town with 4 raptors in the bed of his truck. Ranger ran as fast as he could to warn Farmer Brown. It was all he could do to chase the truck. Then Ranger ran smack into the back of the truck when Farmer Brown stopped at the end of the road. Ranger staggered around and jumped into the back of the truck with the rest of his raptor brothers. Farmer Brown was on his way to the hardware store on Main Street. He waved to people that he knew as he drove into town. He parked his truck in front of the store and went inside. After a moment, all 5 raptors peeked their heads out of the tarp and looked around the busy street. Then they slipped out and explored the town. All except for Ranger, who knew to stay with the truck. 2 raptors went to the left, the other 2 went to the right. The 2 that went to the left began to smell something delicious down the street. As they walked along the sidewalk, people stopped and stared. The raptors followed their noses to the hot dog stand at the end of the block. People sat outside at the tables enjoying their hot dogs. That was until the raptors jumped up and snatched the hot dogs right out of their hands. People got up to leave, but the raptors kept jumping up and snatching the hot dogs. I don't know if a dinosaur has ever stolen your lunch, but it's quite a sight. Meanwhile, the other 2 raptors that had gone to the right found something they had never seen before. A cat. Curious about the new creature, they went to sniff him. But the cat was having none of it. The cat led the raptors on a chase down the sidewalk, over some parked cars, across traffic, and down an alley. The raptors thought they had cornered the cat, but that's when they heard a strange sound.
Meow.
Then they heard another one, and another one, and another one. Out of nowhere, an entire pack of cats had surrounded the 2 raptors. Now the cats were chasing the raptors out of the alley and down the street. Just then a bus stopped to let off its passengers. Instead, 2 scared raptors ran inside the bus, followed by an angry pack of cats. All of the passengers and the bus driver ran out of the bus. Somehow, one of the cats smacked the gear shift of the bus and it started rolling forward down the street. As Farmer Brown stepped out of the hardware store, he saw a bus with cats and raptors drive by. Farmer Brown saw Ranger standing on the hood of his truck. They both knew what they had to do. Ranger jumped off the hood and chased the bus. Farmer Brown got into his truck and took off. Ranger ran as fast as he could after the bus. He ran to the open door of the moving bus and jumped in. Then he moved into the bus driver's seat and dove under the wheel. In front of him were 2 pedals. Ranger was smart enough to know that one pedal would stop the bus. He guessed and rammed his head into the pedal on the left. Ranger guessed correctly. The bus came to a screeching stop, and cats and raptors went flying towards the front of the bus and smacked into the windshield. All of them slid down the glass and tumbled into the floor in a pile. Dazed and confused, Ranger stood up. The bus had come to a stop in front of the hot dog stand. Ranger saw his other 2 brothers standing on the sidewalk with their mouths full of hot dogs. One of them somehow was wearing the hot dog vendor's hat. That was it. Ranger had had it. He screeched for his brothers to stop, but they didn't. What happened next could only be described as a mini tornado of teeth, tails, and bits of hot dog. All of the raptors were fighting each other, as they often did. "Dadgummit!" shouted Farmer Brown. All of the raptors looked up at Farmer Brown. They knew they were in trouble. "Y'all get back in the truck," commanded Farmer Brown. After a few moments, the bus driver was back on his bus. The cats were all gone, and the hot dog vendor had his hat back. That evening at the farm, the hole was patched and all 5 raptors were back where they belonged. I hope you enjoyed this story. Here's some facts about the velociraptor. The raptor lived 75 million years ago in the late Cretaceous period. Raptors were carnivores, meaning they ate meat. They had a long, curved claw on their back legs that they used for hunting. The name velociraptor means speedy thief, which is accurate. If you would like to help Farmer Brown name his other 4 raptors, email us your suggestions at farmerbrowndinos@gmail.com. We would love to hear your best names. Make sure you ask your parents to follow Farmer Brown's Dinosaur Farm so you can hear more stories from the farm. We'd love to know what you think of the show. Follow us on Facebook and let us know. Just search for Farmer Brown's Dinosaur Farm. This show is brought to you by The Secure Dad. Parents can learn new ways to live safer, happier lives at thesecuredad.com.